Holy smokes, folks. What is up? What is up? Mike V here. Heart of a Lions fan. Ooh, look at that. What's on my hat there? Heart of a Lions fan. Those of you that know me know that I am the producer, director of the documentary film Heart of a Lions fan, which is celebrating its 10th birthday this year. We are 10 years old, same age as my son. The idea was born about 10 years ago. So very cool, very cool. We're here today. This is the post Dallas game. I thought about like doing a video that night on Thursday, and then I thought about doing a video the next day. But I'm sitting there, I'm watching all the people talking about the Dallas game. I'm like, okay, this stuff is good. I like this. You know what? They're doing a great job. I can get in where I fit in after the fact, and that's what I want to do tonight, right? So we just got done watching the Green Bay and Chicago game. Really good game. Both teams uh, fairly evenly matched up until the end when our good friend Ben Johnson calls some. I don't know if that's the play he called for Caleb Williams at the end. Made zero sense, but whatever, dude. I'm happy because I think that Ben Johnson is quite possibly the most overrated offensive coordinator, if not head coach of all time. They do this in the NFL. They take a guy who has a great offensive line, uh, is able to call a couple trick plays and call him an offensive genius. Remember, Scott Linehan was the same thing. What happened to that guy? Sean McVay is getting away with it. Sean McVay is actually a true genius if you actually listen to the guy talk and know how his brain works. Ben Johnson is just benefactor for an offensive line that was great in Detroit, and now an offensive line that is really good in Chicago, and then obviously a mobile quarterback that can get him out of his sleep play calls. Although none of the trick plays really worked for Ben tonight. Did you notice that? There was that one little three action shovel thing that kind of worked, but whatever. So let's talk about the victory first. We'll go back into Chicago versus Green Bay so I can pick on Ben Johnson a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and then also just look at the playoff picture. But want to remind you, we do for the victory 5-point play. We're gonna award 5 points for why we won. Where the blame game goes both ways. When we lose, we blame people. When we win, we want to blame people as well. So here we go. Here we go. Let me just share my screen so we can just a little bit of a recap on the game here. Share that over there. Does that look okay like that? I think pretty good. Pretty good. Maybe is that how that looks? Sweet, sweet, sweet. And I think I can share my screen over in TikTok as well, right? I think. That stuff is wild. Expand video. There we go. That's me. How do I share my screen over in TikTok? I swear that there is a way to do that. Not the event logs, insights, commentary. So the well, I might not actually be streaming because we're not going to worry too much about the TikTok folks or the Facebook folks right now. But let's go ahead and look at the Detroit versus Dallas game here. For those who don't remember, we won 44-30. Really, only about one possession where we're actually worried about the outcome of the game when Dallas got within 3. But other than that, we had a 2-score lead, and that was what I told my good friend Jim. We'll see if Jim's going to call in. I should tell Jim I'm live right now. I'm live now, Jim. What I told Jim earlier that day, and I think I'm probably mentioned on my videos, if we could get out in front and keep a 2-score lead, I felt really, really confident. I do not feel like our defense can play from behind very well to play catch up. So that's why going into the Rams game, which I guess we also have to look ahead a little bit to the Rams, we do have to make sure that we are playing with a lead. It takes a lot of the pressure off of our defense, puts more pressure on their offense. Detroit Lions will do better playing with a lead. And pretty much, every team would obviously probably play better with a lead. So let's go back and look and just do a little bit of a recap here on the stats from that game, the statistics here. Prescott had 376 yards, 47 attempts. I don't think you want to throw that much. Jared Goff threw 34 times, which I'm going to argue is a lot. We only rushed 22 times. So we're back to that distribution here. I think where we did better, obviously, is in 74% completion percentage. Dak was only at 6. The interceptions really, really, really hurt Dallas. We did not have those interceptions. That we actually got pressure to the quarterback. Now, I don't know if that was because of Muhammad obviously had a phenomenal game. Muhammad is going to end up getting one of the points of blame here for the victory. Hutch, you kind of want to give Hutch one, but dude, Hutch, because Hutch is having a difference in a way that doesn't show up in the sack column, but like those 10 pressures more than the entire Dallas defense. Uh, um, uh, Hutch running on fumes here. We love Hutch. I have to figure out if we're actually going to give him a point though. David Montgomery, averaging 10 yards a carry, phenomenal. But then you've got Jahmyr Gibbs. Throwing to Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield, though, is almost as good as handing off to him, right? So 3 touchdowns, pretty insane, man. Thoughts? Did the Detroit Lions make the playoffs? And if so, how? We're going to talk about that in a hot minute, but we're going to go ahead first and just take a look at this game. I truly think the Detroit Lions are going to make the playoffs, and we'll break down how, because it is really, really, really twisted here as we look at what's coming up next. But receiving and rushing, right? Jahmyr Gibbs is just an all-purpose weapon. Jahmyr Gibbs is the best offensive player in the league. Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm going to argue, is probably the most valuable player. Although within the Lions, you have a lot of most valuables, right? David Montgomery obviously comes in and gives us a spark. What Amon-Ra was able to do, even though he didn't score a touchdown, ridiculously awesome as well. Our defense was not great, right? Giving up 30 points, but the sacks really did help. That pressure really did help. So if we're going to go ahead and do our 5-point play, and let's see here, we obviously are going to give at least 1 point to Jahmyr Gibbs. I also think that we have to give credit where credit is due and give 1 point to Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, we've given you points for the losses, sometimes 2 points for the losses in the past. I really think that right now, with what Dan Campbell was able to do this game, with having the entire team ready, entire team locked in, winning in all 3 phases of the game, Dan Campbell also, punting and kicking the field goals like he should, we're going to give Dan Campbell a point. So Jahmyr Gibbs for 3 touchdowns, Dan Campbell for being the leader, Muhammad, obviously, for his 3 sacks. We're going to give him a point as well. That leaves us 2 more points. I'm not exactly sure. I think I texted Jimmy. Oh, yeah, I did. Here we go. Tom Kennedy. That field position for us was huge. Tom Kennedy on the returns, Tom Kennedy making some catches, Tom Kennedy, huge. Back in the day for us, Khalif Raymond would help us out with field position. I don't know if the injuries have slowed Khalif down or if maybe the special teams just had to get right, or Tom Kennedy is seeing some things that other people aren't. But Tom Kennedy and the field position game really helped us as well. And then last but not least, I pick on Jared Goff. 1,000% pick on Jared Goff for a whole lot of reasons. I don't think he sees the field well. That's partially his offensive line. But when you protect Jared Goff, like the Lions did against Dallas, he's got 74% completion percentage, throws for 300 yards, and throws for a touchdown, and orchestrates that offense to a victory. So 5-point play recap, win against Dallas, big, huge win. I wasn't even going to think about the season and playoffs going forward if we didn't win this game. We've got Jahmyr Gibbs for his 3 touchdowns, Tom Kennedy for his field position, Jared Goff for running the show, Muhammad for his 3 sacks, Dan Campbell for his overall game management. So we need to move on from Dallas though, and let's do this, folks. Let's stop sharing here. Let's talk about Ben Johnson. Over the past few weeks, I have heard nothing but how awesome and great Ben Johnson is. And I'm sorry, folks. I have watched Ben Johnson his entire career in Detroit. The last 2 years, the Detroit Lions offense was good for one single reason, and that was its offensive line. When you have a great offensive line, and then honestly the other offensive weapons that the team has, you can do anything. You can take a mediocre quarterback with a great offensive line, and they can win games. You can take a mediocre running back with a great offensive line, and they're going to get 4 yards per carry. The offensive line is why Ben Johnson was able to do what he did. And you look today, he's just doing a couple end rounds and reverses and maybe this little forward pitchy thing. And of course, he's got Caleb in motion because Caleb's best asset is ability to run away from people. He did throw some really good balls though today too. I don't want to discount Caleb Williams' performance today too much, but he's not going to throw it like, he's not going to hit people like Jordan Love does. Jordan Love is a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. And I think that was the difference in the game today. But Ben Johnson, I'll say this again, and I'll say this every time I talk about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the reason that we lost against the San Francisco 49ers. Ben Johnson putting the ball in Jahmyr Gibbs' hand as a rookie versus putting it in the hands of David Montgomery in that second half was as much at fault for why we lost that game as Dan Campbell kicking field goals. The last game last year against Washington, he's got JMO throwing passes. Ben Johnson does. Ben Johnson, he thinks he's smarter than he is. He's buying into this offensive coordinator, blah 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 thing, and Colin Cowherd and everybody else loves to talk up the quarterback and loves to talk up the offensive coordinator. But the reason that the Chicago Bears are better this year is their offensive line. They got Jonah Jackson and that Thuney Tooney dude, whatever his name is. That's it. Offensive line. That is it. Ben Johnson have some contributing factor there, of course, but it's the offensive line, folks. And please, please, please do not get it twisted. All right. So now let's talk about the playoff picture here. So NFL playoff picture. Wasn't even going to talk about this if the Lions lost, right? I was just going to be, even though they weren't mathematically out of it, I was going to be maybe a little bit of a Debbie Downer. But why is that camera bouncing so much there? Holy smokes, it's like ocean motion. Let me share my screen again here. We'll talk playoffs, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Rams and my boy Stafford coming to town. So if we look here, I guess we could talk about the Rams right now since the Rams are number one here in the NFC. Okay. If we beat the Rams, I think we become the favorites to win the Super Bowl. I don't care if we have to go play in cold weather. I don't care if we have to go play on the road. This is the toughest game of the year, this Rams game, by far. By far. We're traveling to the West Coast. The pressure is on. Stafford is balling out. I don't know if you saw what he did today, him and Puka Nacua. Who the freak is going to cover Puka Nacua? I mean, we're going to have to get to Stafford. That's the only way that this thing works. You're not going to be able to win in coverage with the legion of whomever out there on the field. So this game against the Rams, super, super important. I will do a preview show probably on Friday for that one. The Packers now have moved up. They lead the division, having beat the Bears. Then we've got the Eagles and the Buccaneers. So we are still now on the outside looking in. But look at this, folks. This is where we want to be, right? Because now with us in position 8 and the Bears in position 7, all other things being equal, our destiny is in our hands. And what does that mean? That means if we win out, if both the Bears and we win out that last game in Chicago, we hold our destiny. We win that game, we make the playoffs. Can the Carolina Panthers catch us? I don't know. Can Dallas catch us? I don't know. I'm not going to look at their schedules. I'm really just going to look here at the Bears schedule, talk about that, look at our schedule. And then obviously some of these other schedules will come into play. We should also probably look at the Packers schedule. So let's just go here, NFL Detroit Lions schedule. See what we got going on here. So the Detroit Lions here, we have the Rams. Okay, tough game, man. I mean, if we're going to lose the game, this is the game that you lose. No shame in losing this game. Going to the West Coast is tough, but if we find a way to win this game, we have proven to ourselves, I think, that we are actually capable of making it to the Super Bowl. We lose this game, there's still questions, right? But I'm going to still be about 50-50 on this game. When it comes time to actually predict the score, I will go 100% full freaking Detroit Lions are going to beat the Rams just because I'm that optimist that always picks the Lions. The Steelers game, I will be at this game 4:25 on a Sunday. That's a beautiful thing. I'll be staying at the Motor City for those of you who want to come hang out with me. Aaron Rodgers back in town. I really hope Kirby Joseph is back. That's the thing. We're going to have to play freaking Matthew Stafford without Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Holy smokes, folks. Well, I don't know if we've got the definitive on Kirby Joseph, but and speaking of defensive backfields, anybody notice how much CJ got burned tonight? Holy smokes, dude. Wow. He was partially responsible for that Chicago loss as well. So the Steelers are tough. The Steelers are playing tough. We saw some little bit of home cooking from the officials today for the Steelers. The Steelers, not an easy game. None of these are going to be easy games. Let's admit this, right? Vikings at home. We saw what the Vikings did today against Washington, of course, without Jaden Daniels, but the Vikings are still a scary team. They beat us, but maybe we've got that revenge motivation. That one's also indoors, so we like that one. Three of these games are indoors. That favors us. Then that last game against the Bears, where the Bears scare me today, what I saw today was their ability to control the ball and wear Green Bay's defense out. Our defense is already tired. Hutch is tired as a moaf, right? Hutch is super, super tired. We we need to make sure that this Vikings game here, we're ending. Look at all these afternoon games, right? These games, we need to make sure that we're ending them early. Hopefully, being done by about the third quarter here, so we can not play as hard. Maybe, I don't know, and have all of our energy, all of our everything for the Bears. Then again, we've seen Hutch dig down. Our defense should be fresh. Hopefully some of the defensive struggles that we're seeing is just rust, kind of on our sea legs here. But if we're going to go ahead and look at where our record is and everything else, right? If we're 8-5 right now, and we win 3 of these games and lose 1, uh, what's that going to be? Are we 8-5 or 8-4? I can't remember. 8-5, right? So we lose 6, 11-6. I think that gets us into the playoffs. So I think if we lose to the Rams, we still have a chance. If we beat the Rams, I think we're a lock. But 3-1 puts us at 11-6. Let's look at the Bears schedule. These folks have one of the toughest ones here, right? They're going to be going, well, to the Browns. Browns actually played fairly well today. What in the freak is up with the Browns, dude? That was about the stupidest thing I ever saw. How do you pull Shedeur Sanders out of the game on that play at the end of the Browns game? Unless you are just a Shedeur hater and Kevin Stefanski, I think you probably just signed your goodbye ticket. I don't know, dude. Like, that's insane. The dude keeps you in the game, and that's what you freaking do. That's the dumbest thing ever. So that's not going to be an easy game for them. Browns are used to playing outside. We'll see what the weather's like. And then the Packers coming into the Bears, I think at this point we want to make sure that we are staying ahead of the Bears. I think we're going to want the Packers to win that game. Although I think that, potentially with what happens with Green Bay in their next game and everything else, if there's a chance for us to get into first place in our division, obviously that may flip flop there. But as things stand right now, I think we'd want Chicago to lose that game. 49ers, a tough game, especially going out there. It's an evening game on the West Coast. Those are always, always, always tough. And then we've got us at home. So the Bears, right, even if they split this, that puts them at 11-6. And then we are still would have the tiebreaker as long as we win this game. I don't know if we split what that tiebreaker is. You'll have to listen to smarter people than I, or when we get actually to that point, we can talk about that stuff if I read somebody else's thing. So now let's look at the Green Bay schedule. This is the division leading Green Bay Packers here. They've got the Broncos. That's a tough game at Denver. Man, that's a tough one. I think Denver is undefeated at home. Going to Mile High Stadium and playing is always tough. That one's going to be tough. We saw them play pretty even today on Green Bay's field. That's also a night game. Green Bay versus the Ravens. Ravens have just fallen off a cliff. We're going to count that as a win. And then versus the Packers, last game of the season, they probably split and go 2-2. If they go 2-2, then they're 11-5-1, right, with their record. And then they still get in because of that half game. So what we might need to happen is we might need Chicago to lose to the 49ers and us, and to beat the Packers, and for the Packers to lose to the Broncos, Bears. And then I think we might be able to still win we might be still be able to win the division at this point. That's freaking awesome, right? So we have now a 54% chance to win the division. This is a little silly why this is 63% and this is 54%. I feel like that's wrong. Only because the Bears are actually in. That's where that 10-point swing or 9-point swing comes from. So, all right, folks, let's just do a little bit of a recap and then I'm gonna hop off. About 20 minutes with me is all anyone can take. It's all my wife can handle. But we did our Dallas Cowboys recap. Great performance by our team. Great performance by our coaching staff. Love Dan Campbell kicking field goals, even though All right. I was sitting there. This is 1000%. What's up, Vaughn? This is 1000% true. I'm sitting there, and when Dan Campbell decides to kick that field goal on 4th and 2, in my heart of lion hearts and in my soul of souls, I knew that was going to kick was going to get blocked. I knew it. I knew it. I knew I had to bet any amount of money on it, and that's what happened. But kudos to Dan Campbell for kicking the field goal. Kudos for Dan Campbell for punting. Kudos for Jared Goff. Jared Goff got a point. Vaughn, I'm recapping my 5-point play, right? Jared Goff got a point for leading that offense. Dan Campbell got a point for pulling the team together and playing a little bit more conservatively. Jahmyr Gibbs got a point for his 3 touchdowns. Muhammad got a point for his 3 sacks. And then Tom Kennedy got a point for his return game plus his receptions. We also had talked about the Green Bay game and the Dallas game, which just ended. Love to see both those teams kind of struggle against each other, beat up on each other a little bit. Micah Parsons, had a interesting day. CJ got smoked a whole bunch. At the end, the Chicago Bears failed, and that's really what we need more than anything else. What's up, Jim Sissing over in the Facebook chat? Jim, I'm on Facebook Live and YouTube Live right now, Jim. Waiting for that phone call, Jim. I mean, I need my caller, Jim. But just good to see Green Bay struggle a little bit there with the Bears, and then good to obviously see the Bears take the L. Then we talked about the playoff picture and also the Rams. Rams is going to be tough, guys. We're going to have to score 50 to beat the Rams. I got a feeling we're going to have to find a way to put Stafford on his butt. I don't know anyone on this team that's going to be able to cover Puka Nacua after what I've seen the past couple weeks with Nacua. We're also going to have to control the ball, an even distribution of Monty and Gibbs, those short, quick passes. I think that's what we're going to have to do. The same game plan we used to beat Dallas is the same game plan we're going to have to use to defeat the Rams. So Rams at the top of the NFC right now. That's great. We beat them. I'm going to feel super, super, super confident about our chances here moving into the playoffs and then to the Super Bowl. And then last but not least, the playoff picture. I think if we all go 2-2, and if Green Bay and Chicago go 2-2, and we can go 4-0, we'd make it. 3-1, I don't think we'd make it because Green Bay would have the tiebreaker on us. But there's still a chance, folks. There's still a chance, and this team played well last week. This team had this up and down for the past 8 weeks. We got to string 2 together. All right, you can't go up and down, and win the playoffs. Win the Super Bowl. You got to string them together. So right now, this is the perfect time to string games together. We beat the Rams in LA. I'm going to say we are definitely a Super Bowl favorite at that point. So Life of a Lions fan is crazy wild. I appreciate each and every one of you hanging out. Vaughn, thank you for checking it out. Jimbo, thank you for stopping by. We're going to hang up now, and then we'll cut this up, put this out on all your socials. Follow me on the Facebook. Follow me on YouTube. That's where I post some of the shorts at. And then also check out the store, the merch store. I didn't put the link up today, but you know what? You know where to find my merch. Christmas is here, folks. Christmas is here. And if you actually want the merch, Vaughn or Jim, for your kids, because Heart of Lions fan for your kids is cool. Hit me up because I can get it to you at a discount. Wait, what do I do? I forget what show I'm doing. Nanu. Later, y'all.